Yo, it's your boy D Black Anglo-Saxon, and today I'm back with a quick one, and we are going to be talking about the small hats and what we can learn from their community as it relates to gatekeeping, narrative control, marketing, branding, and how to access policy and what it means to be able to control your own destiny as a collective. What you see here is you'll see this tweet reads from Fox News, and I'm going to go ahead. It says, deeply offensive. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is facing pushback from the U.S. Holocaust Museum after suggesting children in Minnesota today are fearful in the same way Anne Frank was during the Holocaust. And down at the bottom, if you can't make it out, says Anne Frank was targeted and murdered solely because she was Jewish. Leaders making false equivalencies to her experience for political purposes is never acceptable. Despite tensions in Minneapolis, exploiting the Holocaust is deeply offensive, especially as anti-Semitism surges. Now, I'm going to go on a limb and say that they are 100% correct. Y'all have heard me say on countless occasions that the small hat community is very on point in terms of how they move as a monolith and how they protect their social capital and how they protect their narrative. And I want us to again take a note from this, and this is to my Negro community, my ADOS community, my quote unquote Black community specifically, right? Because what is being said here and what is being done here is very important as we move into an era of multi-ethnic or multiculturalism as it comes to America, where we have these vast subsets of demographics who phenotypically look alike, but don't necessarily share in what our good friend just said, the same experience and story. And why is what he said important? Because what we need to learn from this as a community is that we have to be very guarded and we have to gatekeep when it comes to how and who we allow to use our experiences as it relates to us and what we've endured in this country in here of these United States of America. What do I mean by that? We have people who have gotten out here and let people talk about Juan Crow to basically co-opt and hijack Jim Crow. And I want people to understand that gatekeeping is not negative. Gatekeeping can be negatively used, but gatekeeping is setting institutional boundaries. And what do I mean? Institutional boundaries are, let's take for an example, the NAACP, right? You have to have mechanisms in place to be able to monitor and to be able to basically safeguard against not only being exploited, but also leaks, detractors, and all of these different things that go on to undermine your narrative. And even worse, convoluted or basically muddied the waters. It makes that's a problem because what people have to realize is that that's how we get into all of these fractions right now as a community and all of these different stories as it relates to, oh, well, this group is saying that we never experienced the transatlantic slave trade, and this group over here is saying that we indigenous to this land specifically. And what that does is it doesn't allow you to actually make the claim for like those who say that we are foundational Black Americans understand that you and your moniker, your namesake also has a branding component and narrative to it, which is why this gentleman is very, very, very brilliant by saying, keep your stuff off of our name because you did not go through what we went through, and we will not have you muddy the waters with your silliness, with your mistakenness, and you will respect the legacy of quote unquote the Holocaust, oh quote unquote, and Frank, on quote unquote the small hat community. Because if you come any closer, we will destroy you. And guess what? We will destroy you as a monolith because they understand that not being a monolith is problematic when it comes to protecting the narrative, protecting the branding, and protecting the marketing that is required to access policy in America. Because everything about policy in America, everything about organizing in America is hell bent on marketing dynamics. You are selling, you are basically uh, 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 giving data points, subsets, stories, aka testimonies, to basically extract from a huge apparatus, which is government. And that is why they are highly protective of who and what is allowed to use their namesake, their legacy, and their heritage. Back to the NAACP reference, right? We have not done that. We have not gatekeeped in the way that has allowed us to maintain narrative control. And narrative control is the most important thing that you will undergo in the organizing community, in the politics, in everything that you're doing as it relates to trying to extract resources from these nonprofit NGO organizations who have mission statements built around addressing certain atrocities or addressing certain disadvantages, because it is being pinpoint in your story, pinpoint in your data is how you're going to extract that. And you have to box people out, because if you do not box people out, and again, this is not about hatred, this is about specificity. This is about getting to the crux. And for those who may think and hear hatred when I say that you have to block people out, what you have to understand is that these groups count on you to include everybody because it is a way of sabotage. Because if you say that, oh, okay, well, every quote unquote black person, and we know that now black has been redefined in this modern era, post quote unquote racial era, post Obama era, as being just phenotypically sound, that does not get you anywhere. And you no longer can make the argument about who and what deserves reparations, or what deserves, or who deserves to actually access a lot of these organizations or access a lot of the resources and benefits. And for those of you all who want to sit up here and say, well, oh, you just getting handouts, tell that to the small heads. Tell that to the billion-dollar corporations, because they are continuously getting handouts. I want handouts. Say it with me. We want handouts. We want them. We want them in the form of dollars and cents. We want them in the form of people being able to access and pull levers to create advantage in the form of policy incentive. And we want those in the form of quote unquote assets that we can park our dollars and cents in. Because for those of you all who think that you're going to build generational wealth without any assets, you are mistaken. Because you're not going to outrun this moment, the moment that is collapse, the moment that is a transfer of so much wealth from the bottom to the top that it has created not a wealth gap, but a wealth chasm. And I want us to be very, very clear that what this gentleman said to Tim Walz, and we all know Tim Walz is going to apologize, was not wrong. Negroes, I need us to get on the same page. I need us to understand that saying that we are not a monolith is not a flex. I need for us, the Negro community, and I need you to hear me when I say this, that these people are not wrong for how they gatekeep their community. These people are not wrong for how they tell people to keep your name off of our lineage. Because just because you share the same skin complexion does not mean that you share the same atrocity, does not mean that you share the same legacy. And I know it's going to be people in my comments talking about, well, slavery was done everywhere. No, no. That's not what we're doing today. Because I need y'all to add the appropriate context and the proper context to these conversations when y'all are having them. Understand that chattel slavery is different from all other slaveries that have existed throughout the man of time, because not nowhere else in history did anybody say, except the WASP, except the great Anglo-Saxon himself who came over to conquer, said, you know what? Hmm, we do this slavery thing, but how about this? You'll never have the opportunity to get out of bondage. You'll never have the opportunity to make it out. And not only will you never have the opportunity to make it out, your child's slave status is connected to your slave status. And then not only are we going to connect your slave status to your lineage, we are going to create a financial system around the actual Black bodies themselves. We're going to create a bond system around the Black bodies themselves. Then we're going to create a legislative system around the practices of said culture that wasn't necessarily cemented at the time to reinforce and perpetuate. So for even all of those people who are not Negro haters now, we're going to make sure they become Negro haters, because if they don't, we will get them out the way too. We will delete them too. And nowhere in history, nowhere and nowhere in history were you a commodity that made commodities that also pillaged commodities. And what do I mean? So not only was your body the commodity for trade and sale, the milk that was produced from your bosom was also a commodity, because you used that to be a wet nurse and feed and take care of massa. Not only was that the stuff that came straight out your body, because they used your body to, what they did back to them, to make them recreate more, how we got the mulattoes, the different complexions, because that was also money. And then you gonna mill the lands. And not only are you gonna mill the lands, you gonna plant the lands that you mill. Nowhere in history has that been done. Ever. Especially not for the length of time that it was done. Ever. And especially not with the effort and the legal system and language applied to it, to that we have the creation of race. Ever. Because all y'all gonna go see these Mansa Musa movie and all of this wild kind of crazy stuff, not realizing that Mansa Musa, he don't know what black is. Because it wasn't a thing. It was created to justify an atrocity. But people are gonna sit up here and say, well, that is comparable because, it was done everywhere. No, 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 no. Keep y'all name off of our name. No Juan Crow. No Black Lions. Cause I be seeing y'all out here. I just don't got enough time to cook y'all every single day. But I saw the Black Lions. Pathetic. Pathetic. And then You wasn't even creative enough to create something that was actually real, like an actual Black Panther. You just took it and said a black lion. What are you, Scar? I'm not even going to go into the detail in the back history because people have already done that. But this is, again, the problem with the performative language. The Tim Walzes of the world, the Joe Bidens of the world, the Kamala Harrises of the world, because everybody wants to line to blackness. And this is exactly what got Kamala Harris in trouble. And everybody wanted to act like they didn't know what people was talking about. But we know exactly. Let the small hats come to the front of the room and tell the people. I need y'all to tell the people because they're not listening and they acting like they don't understand. And y'all tried to run game on it because we know that she is in service to the small hats. See, and the only reason and the only thing I have a problem with is that they do the very things to us that they don't want done to them, and they supposed to be our ally, at least rhetorically. But see, I'm on to y'all. I've been on to y'all. Unfortunately, my community is not on to y'all. And unfortunately, my community is really nice and naive. And I need us to stop being so nice and naive. People are not us, and we are not people. You are not African, and Africans are not us. You are not Senegalese, and Senegalese are not us. That does not mean that you hate them. It just means that we are not the same. That's all. Again, when you have groups like the American Descendants of Slaves, championed by Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore, people get upset. People get mad. And all they're saying is the same thing that this guy's saying. We don't hate you, but bro, it's highly offensive what you're doing here. We see what you're doing here. Because not only are you giving up the narrative, you're giving up the social capital that comes with the narrative, which is why people are tired of hearing about black of this, black of that, black of this, black of that. Oh my God. Because everybody has been able to use it. And the people who using it don't got nothing to do with it. So it makes it so hard on the ears because it's like, what? Y'all just got here. What are you talking about? You look like them, but no, you're not them. And we know it. But what y'all do, we let people come in and say and do whatever we want with our stuff. I always tell my son, don't let people come in and break your toys. Because people not gonna care about your stuff how you care about your stuff. And people don't care about our story the way we supposed to care about our story because we don't really know our story. We have to gatekeep better because we won't do anything or help anybody if we don't maintain our narrative. Because right now we can't even really have certain conversations because everybody then jumped in and tried to pillage and piggyback on the narrative of coming from slaves or Jim Crow and all of these different things that Black Americans specifically have gone through, and nobody trying to really hear it, even other Negroes. And now it puts us in a position to where we really can't even help. Y'all talking about telling people jump out there for what do you call it? The ICE situation. We've been trying to tell y'all. But you want us to jump out there after you told us what we told you wasn't real. You want us to jump out there and put our bodies on the line after you took advantage of the policy prescriptions that we got, and then y'all came behind us and tore them down. Tore them down. Affirmative action, tore them down. Money them, tore them down. Then you built DEI on top of it so more y'all can shoe on into what Lyndon Baines, the racist Johnson, gave us. Because he knew his people and what his people did to us. Y'all came behind that and then muddied that, messed that up. And now nobody got nothing. But you want Negroes to jump out there. And then y'all want to keep talking about, oh, well, they coming for y'all next. I'm a nigga. Born in Southeast DC. I been got. If people were to say I was radicalized, the only thing that they could say radicalized me was America and my existence within it, and how I had to navigate it to sit in front of you right now as a nigga. People are like, you shouldn't talk about yourself like that. Well, I don't, look, it don't bother me. I know what I am and I know what I come from, and it does not bother me at all to acknowledge and celebrate the path here. Because even though I critique my elders, I understand what my elders went through. They got some of the stuff wrong, but the biggest thing that they messed up on that I had to take issue with is the gatekeeping or the lack thereof. Like y'all so worried about letting radicals, quote unquote, in that you done let everybody else in and tore your stuff down, that broke all your toys up because you didn't want one of your own kids that didn't know how to shut up. Now look at us. Small Hats was right. Keep your name or keep my name, our name out y'all mouth. Y'all not us. Cause y'all are in a position because of or the lack thereof responding to atrocity. Y'all are getting gunned down now because y'all didn't listen. Y'all are getting gunned down now because y'all thought it was a game. Y'all thought it was a joke. But what do I know? Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe, please. Thank you. I appreciate it if you can. And let me know. Am I tripping? Do y'all agree with the small hats? Do y'all not? It's a wake up call.